a technical glitch. Focus on context. Women's rights, class distinction, tribal distinctions. Fashion is not just about what you wear. I think that's pretty self-evident, but I'm amazed at how many people forget it. What we're going to do to remind people is launch the Parsons MFA in Fashion Design and Society. This is going to be the leading study of fashion in the world. It's a 2-year program for 15 students only. We're going to be recruiting those 15 students from all around the world. We've been sending people around to every school of note for the last year, looking for the very, very best people to take into this. Now, we're at the heart of the fashion district in New York City, and that means Marc Jacobs is around the corner, and so is Isaac Mizrahi, and so is Donna Karan. They come into our school. These 15 people are going to get to spend 2 years working with that caliber of person, and they're going to be studying everything about design, but more importantly, everything around design, everything that makes a successful design, everything that is implied by a design. I mean, I look at the wonderful things that Lorna presented and the trends that WGSN identify, and I think about, yeah, what does that mean for product? But I also think about, what does that mean for a certain shaped woman? How's she going to wear those cycling shorts? I agree with the trend, but I'm also thinking, well, once you get beyond a certain size, what are they going to do about that? And what kind of markets is that appropriate for? And what about in certain countries where that's completely inappropriate? What are we going to say about trends for them? So I think it's a sort of intellectual extension of a creative trend. Trust your instincts. Nurture your self-identity. Know global trends and multicultural influences. It's a terrible old cliche to say that the world is getting so much smaller. Of course it is. We all know that. We can all look. You can all carry around the world in your pocket. Here it is, the internet right here. I know everything in the world now, thanks to this. So everyone knows that. The point is, what are you going to do with it? And what does it mean to you? What do you get if you cross, let's see if I can remember all of these, an English designer, a Brazilian football team, a Hong Kong design studio, an American brand, and a Japanese market? I'll tell you what you get, the Nike Remix blazer. We took Brazil football shirts, as you can see on the left, and we repurposed them into a ladies' blazer. Then we took the Brazil goalkeeper shirts and the warm-up suits, and we repurposed those into a men's blazer. We made a super limited edition, 500 pieces only of each. We numbered each one, and then we released very stealthily where we were going to sell them. There was pandemonium. People were so desperate. Nike has such a brand following in Japan, which is where we targeted this, that it was incredible. Because when people think of football, well, they think of Brazil and England, obviously. Did I hear people laughing in the other cinema? But they think of football and they think of Brazil. So we felt these people are obsessed with it. What can we do? What's new? What's really quintessentially Nike? But also, for me, as the creative director, what was in my heart about that? What was I really thinking? And this was the result of it. Navigate right brain, left brain. Be a visionary designer and an entrepreneur. I love this one. I'm particularly proud to work for my school because of this one. Now, believe it or not, there are certain institutions around the world that look down their nose at Parsons. They think we're all a bit commercial. They seem to think that training designers who are really, really successful is a bad thing, because they should be artists. Well, I believe that designers should be artists, but I also think if all you're going to do is create something that only you want, you should do it in your bedroom. So we feel that a successful artist of any type, whether it's a fashion designer or any other kind, has to understand who they're doing it for. Some people don't agree with that. We believe that strongly. Now, someone who does believe in that is Junior Watanabe. I mentioned at the beginning that I collaborated with him. We did a project with Junior, who's I'm sure you all know, from Comme des Garçons in Tokyo. We did a project where Junior gave us fabric from Comme des Garçons. We at Nike made our signature silhouette, so hoodie, t-shirts, sweatshirts. Then we went back to Junior, and together we chose vintage Nike graphics. Then we printed them on there, then we gave the garments back to Junior, and Comme des Garçons refinished them. So it was a genuine back and forth collaboration. But we weren't content with that. Then we went to look at a couple of Junior stores, one in Tokyo and one in Osaka. We tore everything out of them, and we rebuilt them using completely sustainable cardboard boxes for the fittings, and all the Nike and Comme des Garçons heritage that I mentioned before, to inform the customer about why we were doing this. We did it for 1 month. We made a limited edition of the product, and then we sold out, and that was it, all gone. Now, to us, that's understanding our consumer, and it's thinking, it's creating. I mean, no one's going to tell me that Junior is not one of the most creative designers in the world, but he's also a businessman. He gets it. He doesn't design things to put on his bedroom wall. So we think that's a great example of nurturing left brain, right brain thinking. Think globally and locally. Work with big brands, protect small artisans. I'm going to let you into a secret here, which we haven't released to the press yet, so I'm sure nobody here will tell anybody. We're working with LVMH. So it's a Parsons LVMH collaboration. We have gathered information on 23 artisans working in the New York City area. These are people that do glass blowing, carving, stone cutting, wall upholstering, if you could believe there is such a thing, and various others, artisanal disciplines. Our students have got into teams and they have created video documentaries about these artisans, and then they've designed outfits inspired by the artisans, and then they film the whole process to make documentaries. So one of the wonderful things about this is bringing together students from different disciplines to work on something and expose the work of artisans, working with one of the biggest, the biggest luxury brand in the world. So we think that's a great example of working with a big brand and nurturing artisans. On the right, you can see Henry Bendel. I'm sure many of you have heard of the iconic store on Fifth Avenue in New York. They came to us because they wanted someone to revitalize their handbag department. So our students designed handbags. We chose the 5 best. Henry Bendel made them, and then the winner, which you can see on the left side of the picture, went into production. So that's now being sold at Henry Bendel boutiques around the world. So we think that's a great example of working with a big brand, but from an artisanal point of view. Demand innovation, and then move on. So a couple of pictures. I mentioned the Louis Vuitton event we did a while back where we used their samples, we recreated, we cut them to pieces, we remade things. Incidentally, when we did that, Marc Jacobs was aghast. But because it was his alma mater, Parsons, he's like, oh, all right, if it's Parsons, you can do it. They're my babies. So when we did that event, it was a phenomenal success. It was amazing. The president of Louis Vuitton rushed up to me at the evening event and said, this was great. This was fantastic. We want to do it again. We want to do it again. So I said, no, which is a pretty amazing thing to be able to say. Imagine Louis Vuitton comes up to you and they want to do something and you say, no. The reason is we loved it, but we're not going to do the same thing twice. It was an innovative and new concept, but we don't do the same thing over and over again. We're about the new. We're about creating something fresh. So we will work with Louis Vuitton, absolutely. I mean, I was kind of being a bit cheeky when I said no to him. What I meant was no, not that, but something else. But we have to move on. On the right, you can see a collection that we did at Nike using the Swift technology. So those of you that are old enough will remember one year at the Olympics, loads of sprinters won everything. It's not really my thing, so I don't know their names. But loads of sprinters won everything, wearing these big white suits. They looked like snowsuits, and they were pure white, and they had a big red stripe on them, and they were called Swift suits. They made them run faster, just as these new swimming suits that they've just banned made people swim faster. The point is that we took that technology and we used it to create a streetwear collection. So it was cutting edge. It was unbelievable. No one had seen anything like it. It was creating entire garments with zero seaming. And it was changing the fabric construction throughout the garment with no seaming. And it was creating fabrics that swept the wind past the runner, etc. So, of course, we used it for fashion because that's exactly what you need when you're walking down the high street. But the point is, we made it and then we moved on. We didn't hang around.